Nobody ever told me how to be a man. I grew up without role models, and it showed. If I could come back to my 16-year-old self and give him one thing, it would be this exact list. 15 habits that would turn him from an immature boy into a 10 out of 10 man. Walking on eggshells is probably the worst thing that can happen to you as a man. I was recently talking to a customer, and he said something to the extent of, I can't believe people go to the gym when they can spend time outside. And I was sitting there, and mind you, this guy is probably a higher status than me. He has more money, he's older. The natural response is to nod my head and agree with him. But I had this moment because it actually struck my values. I disagree with that completely. And I said, do you know what, man? I don't agree with you. I disagree. If your goal is having the healthiest possible body and the best physique, gym is much better than just spending time outside. Maybe it works for kids, but if you're trying to look the best you can and feel the best you can, gym is the number one thing. I expected him to get angry. I expected him to say, you're stupid or something like this. But what actually happened is he said, maybe you're right. Maybe I've looked at it from the perspective of someone who just tries to avoid discomfort. He just respected my opinion and we continued our conversation as normal. But that action showed myself that I am not afraid of standing up to someone who might be a higher status, somewhere where I might lose something if I disagree with this person. But it also showed him that I respect him enough to be honest with him. And that's the only basis for relationships that you should have as a man. I wasted so much time spending countless hours in the gym, following the advice of more volume equals more growth. I would do 8 exercises with 5 sets inside and so on. But I didn't notice any progress. I was frustrated with the stagnation that I was facing, so I said, maybe I will just try a different training style. That's when I started experimenting with reverse pyramid training. It's honestly one of the best training styles I've found. The basis is you focus on the movements that are important to you and your physique goals. So for me, that would be upper chest, my shoulders, and my back. You pick one movement per body part. So incline bench for the chest, shoulder press for the shoulders, and pull-ups for the back. That's my exact routine. And then you do 3 sets of each movement, with the first set being the most key one. You start with the heaviest set so that you stimulate those type 2 muscle fibers, the ones that are responsible for explosive force and the ones that create that thick sort of look that I'm looking for. After that, each set, you drop the weight by a little bit and increase the reps. So first set you do 6 to 8 reps, then you do 8 to 10 reps, then you do 10 to 12 reps. That's it. And your mission is to progress on the first set every single week without spending countless hours in the gym. It's the first time in years where I've actually noticed my chest getting bigger and I'm getting stronger as well. If you're tired of spending countless hours in the gym just to have no results and stay the same, try reverse pyramid training out. It's going to completely transform the way you work out. For the longest time, I didn't actually know how to work. I thought that work is just sitting in front of the computer and clicking things or having meetings with customers. But when I looked back at my months or weeks, nothing got done. I didn't have any meaningful, measurable results from my work. That's when I stumbled upon Deep Work by Cal Newport. This single book changed how I view work forever. You see, what I was doing before was shallow work, doing meaningless tasks that can eat up hours but don't really bring you measurable results. Sending emails, talking to people, just no creative output. But then I learned about deep work. Deep work is focused time window of intense work on a very difficult tasks that actually move you forward. Doing the tasks that take a long time and usually require a lot of focus so that you're tired afterwards, but they bring measurable results. The essence of deep work is cutting out distractions, sitting down, defining the task, and giving yourself anywhere from 90 minutes to 3 hours to complete that task. What you're looking for is the big domino. the one task that, if done correctly, makes all the others irrelevant or very easy. For my business, if I can generate traffic, meaning more followers, more people seeing my videos, more people going to my X account, that solves every other problem that I have in the business. So all my deep work sessions are focused on building my audience, because if I build my audience, my business automatically fixes itself. Instead of trying to fix the small leaks in the bucket that I have, I am focusing on bringing in more water into the bucket, which solves ultimately all the problems that I have. Do you get what I'm saying? So what you're looking for is the one task that is going to make all others irrelevant or easier. I always do it in the morning because that's where I am most productive, and I know that if I get that deep work block done, the rest of my day is always effortless and easy. I used to be afraid of caffeine, and I got obsessed to the point where I would literally give myself insomnia because I felt like I drank too much coffee. Then I visited Italy, and it changed how I viewed coffee forever. You see, before I looked at coffee as something negative, but then I realized how long Italians actually live and how much coffee they drink. And I found that there is this link between longevity and drinking coffee. So I said, well, maybe I was just brainwashed. Maybe Huberman wasn't right about, oh, you need to be scared of caffeine and so on. Maybe these guys have actually figured something out. I started drinking 2 to 4 shots of espresso every single day. It's a part of my lifestyle that I really, really enjoy, and it also makes me better because it makes me want to engage with stuff. It makes me want to do more things and actually push things forward. So don't get too scared of caffeine. Have the last shot by, let's say, 11 a.m. One upon waking, one more later. Let's be honest. What you're visualizing when you think about a 10 out of 10 man is a high energy, engaged lifestyle. And that's exactly what caffeine can help you accomplish. So hit that dojo, don't feel guilty, and look at how your energy transforms. I always wanted to look big. There was something about a guy who can walk into a room and everybody looks at him and immediately feels more respect, right? And I thought that if I keep going to the gym, that's eventually what will happen. And sure, a little bit it did, right? Because people noticed my physique, but there always was something that seemed to be missing from that. And what I realized is that there is one muscle group that can actually transform how people look at you, even if you have a worse physique. The one muscle that's always visible, regardless if it's wintertime, summertime, whatever, is your neck. And most people judge how jacked you are by your neck. So you could actually not go to the gym and just work out your neck, and still everybody would stare at you like you're the most jacked, most dangerous guy. Neck training is going to transform the way you look forever. It's going to give you that masculine presence that you'd want to have when you walk into a room. Because here's the thing, even if you're really, really jacked and shredded, if your neck is thin, nobody will give you any credit for it. Yeah, sure, you might be muscular, but you're going to look like that sort of a TikTok boy physique, modern, feminine, thick neck that screams, I can take a punch. I am not afraid of wrestling. That's what's going to completely transform your appearance. So neck training, that's another one that I wish I started earlier. The priority habit that I would implement is having a strict bedtime and wake up time. Not because it's somehow magical and it's going to solve all their problems. That's not what I'm saying. But waking up and going to bed at the same time gives you structure. And if you can have that basic structure in place, it's just going to make all the other habits so much easier. Whether that's deep work, whether that's RPT, whether that's whatever the habit is that you're trying to do, it's going to give you the space to implement them, and it's going to make your energy levels consistent throughout the day. I found that whenever my sleep schedule is messed up, I go to bed at random times, I wake up at random times. The biggest problem isn't so much what's happening with my health, but just the lack of consistent energy. I might feel tired at 10 a.m. and that's when I want to get my work done. So that strict sleep and wake schedule is what gives me that consistent energy so I can pursue my goals and build that momentum that I'm looking for. If you're born into a family who doesn't have money, it's going to be very hard for you to understand how money actually works. I was always frustrated at not having money when I was younger. And I looked at my parents who were struggling and I was asking myself, what is the problem? And then it sort of hit me, like they never learned about money. So I started reading books about finance and about investing. I realized that my parents just never learned financial literacy. This is something that I've put as one of my priorities. I wanted to be financially literate. I wanted to be able to control money, make more money with my money, and provide my family with security and myself with the lifestyle that I wanted to have. Two actions that would fall into that category is learn investing, learn compounding, learn how to multiply your capital, and learn the power of credit. Not getting stupid loans and mortgages, but building your financial history so that when those big purchases come later in life, you're able to take them head on. Smelling good is one of the biggest things you can do for yourself and for your environment as a man. Because first, people look at how you're dressed, how you're groomed, those are the basics. But the second thing that they usually pay attention to is how you smell. I see a lot of guys at the gym who are stinky, and I keep asking myself, how is this possible? But what I realized is that most guys have no idea how to actually groom themselves and become someone who is attractive to the people around them. I start every single day with cologne, even if I'm staying inside. Because if I go outside, it changes how people perceive me. You get compliments, people look at you, and you feel confident going out. But also, when you're just inside, it just changes how I feel about myself. Smelling nice puts me in a different mindset. I am more productive. I am more positive. It's just a no-brainer. Even if it's cheap cologne, get cheap cologne and put it on yourself every single day. There are many diet tricks and habits that people want you to implement. But if I could give you only one thing, it would be this. Get 40 grams of protein in every single meal. You will be more muscular by default, just because you're eating more protein, even if you're not working out. Eat less calories as a whole, because protein is very filling, and you'll make healthier choices when it comes to food. Most people don't get enough protein, especially if you're working out. So by getting that 40-gram protein per meal, you're ensuring staying lean for a longer time, high energy, and being more muscular. It's an absolute no-brainer. Nietzsche famously said that most great thoughts are conceived when walking. And maybe there is some truth to that. But I believe that writing is the best form of thinking. Therefore, the best thoughts don't come to you when walking or when doing crazy things, but when you actually sit down and put them on paper. The inspiration might strike you when you're in the shower or when you're walking. But if you don't write that down and you don't articulate the thought in words, it's not going to be amazing. On a second note, writing makes you much better at thinking. It's the basis of all creativity. And becoming a better writer made me a better communicator. And becoming a better communicator made me a better businessman, a better boyfriend, better YouTuber. Because if I can think better, if I can articulate my thoughts faster, clearer, more precise, I'm actually becoming better as a human in every single interaction. There is so much that is based on your ability to think and articulate your thoughts. Even communicating with AI these days is just articulating your thoughts. Implementing writing into your routine is one of the best things you can do for your progress in business, for your progress in relationships, but also overall self-improvement habits that you could implement. We spend 8 hours daily in bed, which is like 33% of our lives. But almost no one teaches you how to sleep well and accessorize your sleep. So it's a bit absurd to me that we get all this equipment for working out, or we get all this technology while we're awake, and almost no one does it during sleep. What I want to give to you is my sleep stack, which is every single night what I do is 3 elements before going to bed. First, I tape my mouth with Meyer tape, just because mouth breathing is very unhealthy for you. And if you can breathe through your nose, you'll be much healthier, your HRV will improve, your focus throughout the day, cortisol, everything else that you can imagine is going to go great. Second one is earplugs. Especially if you're a light sleeper like I am, it's very easy to wake me up. Earplugs transform your sleeping. You're going to sleep much deeper with less intrusions, more focus the next day, deeper sleep, all those wonderful things that are happening. And the last one is sleep mask, especially if it's summertime, like right now. Having a sleep mask on your eyes is going to ensure that you sleep however much you need to sleep and that the light coming in is not going to wake you up. If you've got blackout curtains, amazing. I unfortunately don't, so a sleep mask completely transformed the way I sleep. Because I don't get woken up when the light comes up, I get woken up when I have to wake up, and I can gauge if I am actually well rested or maybe I need some more sleep, maybe I need a nap later in the day. Being as disciplined with your supplementation as with your workouts is something that doesn't give you results every single day. Like you taking supplements for a day isn't going to change anything, but eventually it all compounds. You have more energy, you don't get sick as often, your hormones are in check. And you also need to look at your longevity as an important thing. You want to live longer, so getting the right supplementation every single day is going to ensure just that. I've got a whole video on my daily stack. It's the closest thing I found to Limitless Pill, so you can watch it right here. This shouldn't even be on this list, but I know what a nightmare I was when I was younger. I didn't pay attention to my environment, I wouldn't clean after myself, and this weighed on my productivity. So keeping my space clean, keeping my environment spotless, enables me to focus on work more because I actually get distracted with mess. I keep thinking about, oh, I need to do this thing. But if I can keep my environment clean, then I can actually focus on doing the thing that I want to do. Focusing on investing, focusing on growing my business, focusing on learning new skills, or maybe just even having a great time with my girlfriend. If I don't need to think about cleaning, my life gets fuller because there is a cost associated with having cleaning in the back of my mind all the time. Keep your environment clean. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be organized so that it doesn't distract you from all the other things that you want to do. I've developed this habit when I started working in business, when I started selling my customers. I would be miserable most days, depressed, but something was happening. I just wasn't happy with the situation that I was in. But every single time before I entered a customer's room or business or home, I would force a smile on my face. And then that habit sort of stuck with me. So whenever I enter a space, I smile right now. And I found that it sets the tone for who I am. You see, I think that a 10 out of 10 guy would always smile when he walks into a room because he's not afraid. He wants other people to feel better and he's radiating confidence. So that smile is a message to myself. I am not afraid of entering this room. Come on, bring it on. But it's also a message to all the people who say, wow, look at this guy. He's smiling. He's positive. He looks confident. I want to meet this guy. I want to speak to him. I want to do business with him. I want to go on a date with him. That's what a woman might say, right? So smile when you enter a space. Just like, don't try to do this like weird smack. No, just actually look like you're optimistic. Look like you're happy to be there. Look like there is no insecurities that you're dealing with. And I swear, that's like the only social skill that I would tell you to focus on. That's going to give you the 80% of the benefits for 20% of the effort. The biggest thing I didn't understand when I was younger is that being a man is not only being strong and tough and hard. Yeah, sure, it is a huge part of this. You need to be disciplined. You need to be an animal, a beast, right? You need to have that sort of a fire in yourself where you can fight. You are competitive. You want to win. You want to dominate. That's a huge part of it. But I think like right now, especially with the way I see most men struggle with, and with the way in which I saw myself struggle, was that I wouldn't allow myself to feel love. I wouldn't allow myself to feel gratitude. I wouldn't express it to other people. If you're scared of expressing emotion as a man, are you really that masculine? Are you really that fearless? Are you really that strong? Or are you just trying to put on a tough face and a persona? And in reality, you're a scared little boy hiding inside. Because I think it's the second one. So, one of the habits that I've implemented is regularly telling people I love them. The people who are important in my life, especially. Doing that might feel awkward in the beginning, but I'd rather feel awkward than regret not telling someone I love them before they died. When I say it to my grandparents, for example, I can hear they like cracking up a little bit. When I say it to my mom, I say it to my girlfriend. I have this outer shell of I'm a strong guy, and that's true. I am disciplined. I am competitive. I want to win. But I also want to be able to have a full personality. And part of the full personality is expressing the feelings that I get with no obstacle, with no limitation. And if that makes you uncomfortable, I guess it's your problem. Because I don't want to be the guy who's made of stone. Everybody tells you, be made of stone, don't love people. I say, open your heart. Open your heart, live with an open heart, and even if it hurts, you're going to have a much fuller life than someone who just keeps hiding into their shell because they're too scared of rejection, embarrassment, or having their heart broken. This is it. If 16-year-old me followed that list of habits, he would get the results that I got much faster with less stress, more confidence, and more enjoyment as a whole. It's giving him the lessons that I've learned over the last 8 years without the scars that I had to take in order to learn them. So if that sounds interesting and you want more lessons that are going to improve the quality of your life, that are going to give you that mental, physical, and financial freedom that every man is looking for, this is exactly what I'm documenting on this channel. So if that sounds interesting, subscribe and see you in the next one.